What's going on? Got to ask a couple of questions about some pretty interesting topics. So I'm gonna fire off all these kind of quick here, put them all in one video, so it's not just 10 million little teeny tiny small ones. First one was in regards to eccentric training for injury prevention, recovering from injury, stuff like that. I mean, there's tons and tons of research that a lot of kind of focused eccentric work is pretty much ideal for recovery from injuries and stuff like that. And one off the top of my head dealt with, I think it was right under 500 soccer players. I think it was in Sweden, I believe. Girls and boys. These were like teenagers and stuff like that. So the control group for this one, it was basically no kind of emphasized eccentric training, anything like that. Just regular training, regular soccer practice, everything. Just kind of normal stuff. And the experimental group had a 10-week preseason eccentric only hamstring training program that dealt with the Nordic hamstring curl exercise. So basically, you get your feet anchored down to the ground by a partner or something like that, and you do like a floor glute ham raise. So it's just that I had no idea that exercise was actually called the Nordic hamstring curl until I read this study. But anyway, so they go through, and the kind of normal instance of injury and everything happened with the control group. It came out to something out of like 100 participants. It came out to 13. I believe it was like 13 actual hamstring injuries from just playing soccer, normal soccer stuff. For the I'm sorry, it was for the control group. It was over 50. It was about 50 hamstring injuries for all 500 people. For the experimental group, that number got cut down to 13, and 9 of those happened during the actual preseason kind of 10-week intensive, just eccentric only hamstring training before the season started, and then they did like a maintenance program for the rest of the season. So the adaptations from those exercises hadn't really taken effect yet, because they were still in that kind of 10-week just kind of introduction to the exercise, and that little 10-week little like loading phase, getting ready for the season. But anyway, so that factoring all that stuff down, I mean, that cuts the instance of hamstring injuries only for soccer. That's a pretty significant drop from that 50 or so out of 100 to, realistically only 4 people that actually incurred a hamstring injury after doing focused eccentrics. And I mean, that's one. I just thought of that one because that was one I kind of read recently, and I used it for a presentation that I did not too long ago. And that one just kind of stuck out of my head. I really think just kind of taking, especially for sports, stuff like that, especially for places you're kind of prone for re-injuries, things like that, like especially hamstring problems, they always seem to reoccur, shoulder problems, stuff like that, just like nagging shit that never goes away. It might be worth the time and energy to do some kind of intensive eccentric only kind of training protocol, at least for a couple of weeks, and then do your best to kind of maintain that for as long as possible. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I try to do a lot of like not really focused eccentric work, but just kind of, especially on all of my accessory things that I've been doing lately. I've really been focusing on just like, really getting a lot of control out of it, a lot of focus on the speed and the tempo. I think it makes pretty big difference. So I mean, the research is there for it too. So I am a fan. So I think everybody should try to do at least a little bit.